So here's where we are so far. We've got all the dash out, we got all the factory speakers out. We're going to be working on replacing those speakers and these speakers. We're also getting some of the console or body pieces out, so that way we can get our amplifier wired. So this is the next step. I had to pull the battery, fuse holder. Gonna have to pull this tray out, and all of that is so that I can get to a grommet here, a factory grommet where I can run the wire through to try to make sure that it's protected well. There is a grommet, since this is an automatic, there is a grommet on that side. So I know some of you are saying, why'd you go through all of that? There's a grommet for the manual transmission hole on that side that you can use. And I'd agree, except I'd have to come from the battery, go here, go across the vehicle, through the grommet, then come all the way back across the dash or under the carpet over to this side to get under this seat for the amp, because the way this bar that we're going to be replacing is designed, the wires are designed to run down this way, come down this B pillar to an amp here. That's the length of those wires, so I can't put the amp on that side. So it's going to be quicker long term to take this out and run that 4-gauge power wire through this grommet rather than going across, coming back, and then under. We do have to take a lot of stuff out, but once that's out, it actually will make running auxiliary wires easier, a bunch of other stuff. I'm going to actually pull some extra wires through there, just as some dead circuits, in case in the future we decide we want to run some other auxiliary sources or something like that. We can easily tap into it. All right, and just like that, a little while after, we have everything pulled out for the battery tray, and this is what we're going after. This factory nipple here through this grommet is designed for auxiliary wiring, so we'll use that to run in. It will be directly straight to the passenger side seat, but to get to that point, there is some stuff you have to take out. So take out the fuse box, you have to take out the upper battery protector for the second battery. Now this Jeep did not have a secondary battery. You can see that that tray is empty. It is an option that could be added. There's a couple of different kits out there, but all of that had to come out. It wasn't too bad of a job. Probably the bigger problem was this harness, getting it away from that battery tray enough to get the battery tray out. Other than that, it's just bolts, a lot of bolts, and it's ready to go. So that'll give me direct access through the back here through a harness, and I'll be able to run through the firewall, down the side, through the original tray, and up under the seat. We're going to pull this seat as well, I think, just to make it easier to run the wires. We're that far into it now. 2 more bolts or 4 more bolts is not going to be that big of a deal to get the seat out to make this job quicker. All right, so we got our 4-gauge wire pulled through. Just got it kind of temped out right there. As I mentioned earlier, we went ahead and we pulled the passenger seat out. I went ahead and pulled the passenger side carpet out as well, just to make that easier. Currently working on getting the sound bar, the old sound bar out. So pulling all that apart. So once we get the sound bar down, we'll pull some of these B pillar trim pieces off, and then we'll work on getting the new sound bar mounted. So we are getting ready to build out this sound bar with the 4/8 and the 4-inch drivers or tweeters. Gonna go ahead, and doesn't come with any type of sound deadening, so gonna throw some pieces in here, try to cover as much as we can, and then also got some polyfill that's gonna go in there to try to help make this a little bit less hollow sounding, a little more full sounding. So we are continuing to wire up the soundbar. I've got an 8 and a tweeter there. Got an 8 and got 2 tweeters on that side. So we still got 2 8s to put in, 1 tweeter. Loads of RGB wires to tidy up and get sorted out. Loads of speaker wires and pairs of speaker wires to get sorted out. We're gonna go ahead and make a bundle in here and actually put some loom on it and make it, you know, all one big chase to where it kind of stays together. And then I'm gonna I'm gonna take and hot glue it down to the mat in here, or the batting in here. That way it doesn't have the chance to move around and rattle and make noise. That way try to get as much clean sound out of this as we can. Alright, so we got the bar mounted, got all the accessory trim back up around it. That's a bit interesting because the DS soundbar is not perfectly shaped to the actual factory panels. It takes a little bit of persuasion to make it fit. You can just kind of see that it's pushing here. So there's a tight, real tight spot right here that you got to try to get around. But overall, it fits in there and looks nice. It's real nice. So we're gonna keep moving on. All right, so we have our amp wire ran. Put some protection on it all the way. A little bit more protection around that bolt. Coming into the factory wiring tray. And then we have it coming out of the factory wiring tray, and we're gonna follow that tray around to the amp. All right, so we're back. I don't recall where we left off. Kind of had to get moving on this thing pretty quickly, so I had to wrap it up, put it back together so the customer could take it. We let the speakers break in, so they've been broken in. Overall, the customer is happy with the sound. It's loud. It's got a lot of highs to it. Personally, I wasn't as thrilled as I would have liked to have been with it. So what I got the customer to go ahead and give me the go-ahead on was to go ahead and pick up an AudioControl LC6i. That way we can sum the factory. So from the factory you have a channel for the woofer, or mid bass if you want to call it that, and then you have a channel for the tweeter, and it's pre-crossed over out of the factory Alpine Uconnect system. So there's not really a good way to get a full range clean sound. When I was looking at it on my RTA after we let the speakers break in, we don't have a real full range sound coming to the back of the amplifier for this sound bar. So what we're going to be able to do with an LC6i is take both the channels, the mid and the high channel from the factory Uconnect system, sum those channels together, and then input that into the amp on one channel, or out of the LC6i on one channel, and then go into the amp with that multi-channel amp, and that'll give me a full range signal to be able to send here. And then I can set my crossover points and set my gains appropriately, and it should make that, in my opinion, sound a lot more clear, a lot more mid-bass rather than just so loud, which the customer was looking for it to be loud. It's definitely loud. It's in your face loud, but I would like it to be a little more clearer. So fortunately the customer was in agreement, and we went ahead and we got that stuff ordered. So we're back here today. About to pull this seat again. So remember, everything amplifier is all under the seat. All the wiring is tucked up underneath the factory panels. So we're gonna pull this seat real quick. It won't take us but a minute or two. Figure out where we're gonna grab the summing channels from, or the factory channels from, sum those into that LC6i, and then we'll walk through in a minute. We'll walk through, and once that's installed, we'll talk about the difference in the signals and how that looks on that RTA. That way we can see what the gain we got from that is. So this is the problem that we're trying to correct with the summing module. So this is the rear, and this is one channel. So this is, you know, left or right. This is actually the tweeter side, left or right. And then if I swap over to the left or right, and then I go to the mid bass or woofer, if you want to call it, you can see that now I'm picking up, you know, the low end around that, you know, 80 hertz or so, 120 hertz sound. So the other side of that channel really has a hard cutoff, probably, I don't know, 250 and below. It's got a little dip at, you know, I don't know, 2K or so, but the idea is you're missing the lower end from this side or this channel, and you have the lower end but nothing on the high end on this channel. So I need to sum those two channels together in order to get a more clearer sound to come through, you know, that way I can set it how I want. So that's what we're going to be doing. I was just testing it just to double check my what my initial finding was, just to make sure I wasn't you know, seeing something that didn't exactly exist. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to sum with the LC6i. We're going to sum both of those channels together, create a full range channel, or as best of a full range channel as we can get out of this factory system. Feed that into the actual DS18 amplifier. So we'll feed that into the actual amplifier here, and then that will allow me to really make this bar sound like it really should. So that's our plan. That's what we're going to get working on. We'll see you in a bit. Alright, so we got the multi-channels into the LC6i, got them summed. So now we have at least a full frequency response. Now you can definitely see this factory system has some pre-attenuated bands here, roughly right around that 200 hertz or so. I'm gonna have to play around with the crossover on there, a couple of different channels of the amplifiers, and try to see if I can kind of fix that to some degree. We don't have an actual EQ in here, so I don't have the ability to really fine tune it, but we'll try to get it as best as we can. But we're much better off now. We have at least a full range signal that's going to be sent into these amplifiers, instead of having what we had before, either, you know, mids and highs, or the lower end separated on two different channels. So this will help make this a lot easier. It should make those 4/8s and 4 tweeters sound a whole lot better. So we're going to get on with completing the install, and we'll do some tuning.